Hello Libra, it is time for your mid-December update. We're going to start off as usual with an oracle card to see what your primary theme or energy is for the second half of this month. And we have breathe, healing with your breath. Make sure you are taking time to pause and breathe before you respond to things. That's going to help you really assess what it is you really want to say, if you want to say anything, or what your next action should be. Give yourself that moment to pause. Don't feel pressured by anybody. Also, you don't need to respond right away to any emails or questions or social media posts or anything like that. You can take your time to reflect on it and decide how you want to respond. So essentially this is, well, it is about the breathing and the healing with your breath, but it's because you need to be mindful of how you're responding to some things that may come up here in the second half of the month. And it's for your benefit. It's as if you may say something you might regret, or that may be misinterpreted and then cause some other miscommunication or misunderstandings, and it's just going to cause a headache if you just say the first thing that might come to your mind. I normally don't condone that. I like having you speak your mind. But there's a need here to take a breath and not respond from an emotional reaction. You want to be able to respond in a way that sounds logical or measured to whatever this is. So it could be something to do with work, where you need to have a really measured, polite, businessy type of response to something where maybe you're mad or you're angry. And responding purely from that emotional standpoint is not something you want to do, because it could jeopardize your position or your project or whatever it is. So you need to take some time. So that email comes through at work and it's got you all hot and bothered. Go for a short walk, give yourself time to calm down, take some deep breaths. Give yourself permission to take a short break before you respond, so that you can compose not just yourself, but compose the message in a way that conveys how you're feeling, but in a socially, businessy, acceptable way, if that makes sense. It's probably going to make sense to at least one of you out there. That's what I'm getting off of this card for you. All right, let's see what tarot messages we have to go with that. We have the Three of Swords. I think that's swords. Maybe Three of Wands. Three of Wands. Two of Wands. The Devil. The Page of Swords. And the Emperor. So when I'm looking at this overall thing, just to go a quick overview of what's popping out at me right away is, it could be that you have to backtrack on a plan and reconfigure, come up with something new, which is going to be very frustrating. And there's that temptation to respond with emotional words or high emotions, which could be part of just a pattern of behavior you've had in the past, or the temptation is there to do or say something that could cause some self-sabotage, could cause some issues for you. But it's very important that maybe you revisit the words you might use, maybe type it up a few different times before you come up with your final draft to send. And then as part of that message, make sure you're setting some boundaries around commitments, who needs to sign off when, who does the signing off, who are the different owners, and make sure that they're aware that you are tracking approvals and things like that on timelines. So you'll know, or will be better able to track the blockers or the issues, etc., that may come up. Okay, so that's just the first read that came off of these as I was just looking at them. Now let's get into individual cards and see what we get out of them. So starting off here with the Three of Wands. This is a card about anticipation. The plan's been put in motion, right? The three comes after the two. Two is about coming up with a plan. Dreaming, brainstorming. What is it that you want to do? Go big or go home kind of energy. The three is like, okay, we put things in motion now. We're waiting for some results. Waiting for those initial results to come in. And that's where we're starting at, is with that 3. So there's a sense of anticipation here initially, and you're waiting for the responses to come in. And maybe what happens is you get a response, because then we flow into the 2 of Swords, which kind of indicates a backtrack, having to go back, maybe implement plan B or C. But a need to reconfigure or rethink things, come up with a different plan, or maybe fine tune it a bit before you put it out there again. The 2 of Wands, again, is about that planning stage, and there's a sense of excitement in there and a sense of joy with it. Maybe you like doing this part, so you're a little bit okay with it, but perhaps what came back from somebody is an abrupt message, or maybe they're coming from an emotional standpoint or response and trying to put the ownership of their failure to respond on you. That could be what's going on here, which is going to get you hyped up. But you're good at what you do, so you can come up with an alternate plan, which you do. The temptation here with this Devil card, it's a major arcana card, temptation, self-sabotage, putting ourselves in cages, preventing our forward progress, locking ourselves up. Try to control, again, you're going to have to watch the tone of how you respond. Make it very maybe factual, very much exactly, I don't like to use this word, but in a way, this is sort of what it might be when it comes to that one person. But to everybody else, it would look very much like you're just doing what you should be doing, which is malicious compliance, right? They keep reverberating that in my head, malicious compliance. So this person, maybe they came back with some really nitty-gritty thing, nitpicky thing that they want to make sure is included as part of this project. Perhaps then you need to make them own it. So it's included, they have deliverables around it. You go back, you come up with that new plan so that you can incorporate whatever it is that they came up with. But watch how you communicate that. Make sure it's not an obvious thing or an obvious dig, because that's going to come back to bite you. And you don't want that to have happen. That would be a form of self-sabotage, letting your emotions create your message rather than the planning, the logical side, the clear communication, etc. So pay attention to that. Go for that walk. Take some deep breaths if you need to a few times as you're figuring this out. Give yourself permission to take your time a little bit, even though if you're on a deadline, that's fine. Give yourself time. Give yourself some sort of way of taking a break. Take those deep breaths in between lines of writing code or whatever. Go back and read it multiple times if you need to. Sound it off somebody else. Read it out loud. I find that helps me a lot if I'm in this type of situation. And this Page of Swords energy, this is all about that message. So this may be something that's new to you. Maybe ultimately, even though this is something that is aggravating, irritating, frustrating, it is a point of growth, right? Because you're able to refine your messaging around whatever this is in a way so that there can be no doubts. There can be no confusion about expectations. The Page of Swords is young and fresh energy. So this is a new plan, a new idea, a new way of communicating, maybe even. Maybe you're going to leverage some of the technology that you have available to you in order to flag when things are due or when people have responded, like approvals through Teams or whatever you may have on at your work site or in your situation. But there's going to be some fresh new ideas on how to manage that communication and make sure everybody is on the same page. So let yourself come up with, let those new ideas float to the top, and don't be afraid to bring them out there as suggestions as part of this new plan. And then give people, the Emperor is here now too. The Emperor is a major arcana card. It's kind of the father of the tarot deck. The father is the one in this case that's setting the boundaries. They have the control. And the boundaries are intended to protect people, protect maybe your project even, so that everybody's on the same page and nobody goes beyond, so there's not scope creep or things like that. This is all about reining in, defining the boundaries of what this should be. So maybe a discussion could be indicated about scope creep here for whatever type of project this might be. The Emperor is really, really setting those boundaries, setting the terms. So make sure you include some of that in your communication. is that in order to avoid having to go back and forth here with this over and over again, maybe it's happened a few times and you're just frustrated by the fact that it keeps coming back with more things and more things and more things. Well, I didn't know this. I didn't know that. It's not on you to make them read it. It's their responsibility to read it. Maybe you set emails to mark when people have read them. And maybe you set something within them to force them to respond every time they open that email, indicating that they have read and agreed to the terms. So there can be no confusion. Whatever it is, you set the rules. You set the tone. You're the one who's coming up with that. You own that. But again, try not to put the emotional twist in it. Try to keep things factual, punctual, very, very clear and concise. Maybe set up some meetings with them to say, if we're going to have meetings on this day or this day or this day, I've given you 3 options. You must attend to one of them so that we can gain clarity across the board on what expectations are, what the timing should be, the methods that we're going to do things. And then we can jot them down and everybody can sign off, and that's what we're moving forward with. For some reason, that's going to be very, very important here. So busy, a little frustrating, but busy for you, Libra, here in the second half of December. But again, you're the one in charge here. You're the one who's going to make this happen, and you can set the controls. Make sure you're breathing, though, and taking time out for yourself. Take those little breaks, go for a short walk, whatever it is, to help you keep your focus in a balanced way. All right, Libra, that is what I have for you for your mid-December update. Please hit that like button. Please share this with others. Please comment below to let me know if this resonates with you or not. And most of all, please subscribe to help me grow my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you later.